This is the August 12th, 2021 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. This is the continuation of a public hearing we held on July 22nd. Obviously, we're still in the COVID restrictions and the governor's guidance on public hearings, so we're going to proceed with people both in-house, although there aren't any public in here, only commissioners are here and staff and the recorder. For folks who are online, you will get an opportunity to speak on this matter if you wish. We will use a raise hand feature on your application when we get to that. Basically what we're going to do, since it's an extension of the public hearing, is we'll hear from staff again. There were some questions that came up from the last meeting. He'll respond to that. Commissioners ask questions, additional things that they might want clarified on the text amendment. We'll then take public hearing comments, so the public will have a chance to comment on that, and then there'll just be questions from the commissioners, and if we see fit that we've got enough in the record, we'll close the public hearing and proceed accordingly depending on what the commission wants to do on this matter. So that's how we're going to proceed with the meeting. And with that, Celeste, will you please call the roll?
Okay. Evans? Holloman?
Here.
Madaskil?
Madaskil here.
Mead?
Mead here.
Slivka?
Slivka here.
Moran?
Moran here.
And Chairman Stocking.
Stocking here.
You have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Next item on our agenda is approval of this evening's agenda. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve. Mead.
Second, Slivka.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item is the approval of the minutes of the July 22nd, 2021 meeting.
Move to approve, Slivka. Second, Moran.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we'll proceed with our only item we have on the agenda this evening, public hearing. It's for a text amendment. Again, it's continued from our last public hearing we had for Planning Commission on July 22nd, 2021 on this matter. It's an amendment to Title 12 Subdivision, Chapter 4, Public Open Spaces in Section 12-4-5-5, criteria for requiring cash contributions in lieu of land. And it's related to the fair market value per acre of land, and the applicant is the City of Geneva. David.
So during the public hearing on July 22nd, we had two questions that came up from the commission, and John Oren, the appraiser, was not able to attend the meeting, so we continue the meeting to this evening, but I was able to ask him those questions between now and then. So I'm just going to read those questions into the record and his responses to them. The first was that the four comparable sales on page 11 of the appraisal are from 2017 and 18. Is it safe to assume there were no comparable sales between 2018 and 2021? It does appear that the sales are adjusted upward due to the dates. And the answer is more recent land sales than those included in the report could not be located and still stay within or reasonably close to the City of Geneva. Each of the land sales were adjusted to the effective date of the report. Page 4 of the report provides a summary of lot sales with even the number of sales identified in this chart insufficient to provide support for changes in land value. Page 5 of the report provides a stronger support identifying changes in single-family home prices in the Tri-Cities market, indicating between 2.37 and 3.69% annual change from 2018 through 2020. The data and analysis of the data supports a 3% annual rate of increase for residentially oriented property value be applied to the land sales, and that is the rate that is used in the report. That's the end of his response. Are there any questions on that, or clarify the questions?
None here.
Nope, I don't have any.
Okay. So the second question was, on the top of page 6 of the appraisal, it states that the Sale velocity and pricing increased in 2013, continued to do so through 2020, and are back to pre-recessionary levels. Is it safe to assume that this statement is in relation to the detached single-family sales and not the for land sales? Comments on the top of page 6 pertain to sales of detached single-family home sales, not single-family lots or the for land sales used in the report. This chart illustrates how the market has rebounded from 2010, doubling the number of annual sales. The chart also provides support for increasing the sale velocity, with days on the market decreasing to roughly half of that seen in 2010. There is support for increasing value for residential property, which increases return to the land and increasing land value. Questions on that response?
Nope.
So, based on the appraisal, it was staff's recommendation that the fair market value be adjusted from the current level of $275,000 per acre to $330,000 per acre.
Yes, Rebecca?
I just was curious, I think it was in here, and I apologize if I'm asking a question that's already been addressed, but about the impact of those who had already been, the land had already been sold but not developed yet. There was some, I was just curious, would that be, some of them that now have a raised, do you know what I'm?
Impact fee?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was curious, like, which companies, if that was gonna impact whether or not they were still able to build. I guess specifically, I'm thinking about Landing and,
So Emma's Landing, that development had the specific amount codified in their approval document, and they're paying at the time of plating. So that'll be a one lump sum fee, so they will not be impacted. Other developments that have chose with the district's approval to pay at the time of permit that are not complete, they will be impacted. So, for example, like Cooper Woods has lots available. Those lots will be subject to the new fair market value because they're paying at each permit.
and so the owners of those properties don't have any recourse to say no. I mean, that's just.
They do, in the subdivision ordinance, you can appeal to the city council to
Okay.
overturn what is the required fee. But when they pay at the time of permit, they're supposed to abide by the current fair market value. And that's to really take into account developments that might linger on for a while.
Okay. So that's made clear to them at the time.
Yeah, that's how it's worded in their approval documents, is that their impact fees will be assessed at the time of permit and subject to the current code requirements.
Okay.
So they consciously take that risk.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we've had subdivisions in the past that have asked for a waiver or adjustment on the fees. We consider that at times when they do propose that. And we've had some from the past.
And then they also have the, ability to voice their concerns in a hearing like this, right?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
And perhaps this is for Mr. DeGroot. How often is this subject revisited? Is it scheduled, or is it as circumstances warrant?
It's every 3 years, and is what's codified in the code, that we revisit it every 3 years. That wasn't always the case. Before the 2018 update, it hadn't been updated in 12 years, I think. So we made sure we added that language to kind of encourage us to do it a little more frequently.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So David, this is the cost of the land that you quoted, that's for an improved acre of land, right?
Right, right.
1 acre, yeah.
Kind of a build-to-suit lot.
Build a suit
Yeah.
lot, yeah. So something like you were saying, like, Cooper Woods would be an example.
Right. Yeah, utilities are in place and it's
Everything's
ready to go.
It's just, that's what it's priced.
And is there a sliding scale for property that is gonna need to be brought up to that status, like you're saying? Like,
There's not, because this is only triggered when a subdivision comes in, so when a property is
Oh, I
subdivided,
see
those
what you're
improvements
saying,
are
yeah.
required to be put in place.
Yeah.
Right.
So at time of permit is gonna be applied, they're gonna be improved, so. Any other questions?
I guess my question is, we haven't, obviously, they had to go back to 2018, we haven't had a ton of land sales per se, so is there a concern that we're gonna stunt development further by increasing this impact fee to developers, knowing that they're already up against the wall with construction fees, labor shortages, those sorts of things? Is that something that should be taken into consideration? I guess that's something that me personally, just dealing on a day-to-day basis, having those issues in commercial real estate and the cost of construction, just, that's something that is in the back of my mind, I guess.
I mean, it is a significant increase in land value, I mean, there's no doubt about it, even considering there's a pandemic. And, so the number did take me by surprise, I didn't expect that big of an increase.
20% over 3 years is fairly hefty.
Yeah,
David, do you recall how vigorously the city council may have debated the last increase? Because if we send this forward, we're recommending the specific increase, but they have an option. They could decide to step it up 1, 2, 3, or do a portion of it, or do the entire increase.
I don't recall it being a hot topic.
Okay.
It was 12 years out of date at that
Correct,
time.
correct.
So it was maybe a little
It's
less
well overdue.
jarring.
Right.
To see that big of a jump. I think it was at 185,000 maybe, and then it jumped it to 275.
Right.
I think what we're trying to establish in the code is what is the current fair market value? And if it is $330,000, that is, there definitely are impacts to development costs. And the code does provide that opportunity for developers to approach the city and say, listen, I want to develop this land, but your impact fees are making it cost prohibitive. Would you
Right.
consider a reduction? And the council can provide that relief.
yeah, so there are things like on affordable housing and things, so if we have a developer that comes in with, there's things that we can do to help encourage that kind of
Right.
thing, depending on what they're proposing to do.
And theoretically, maybe not likely, but theoretically, if this is too big of a jump, 3 years from now, we'll be reevaluating it, and it may stay at 330 or go to 325 or something like that. So, I mean, we'll have a fresh and likely more land sales. There'll be a more vigorous trade environment now that we're hopefully coming out of a pandemic, so.
As we're all wearing masks again.
We're all-
And it's
Hopefully,
not,
yes.
it doesn't apply to any properties that are designed to be for a specific, that older age range.
Right, so if it's
Right.
an age-restricted community,
Yeah.
it doesn't apply to the school district, but they would still have park district impact fees.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
No, I don't know if there's any on the public. but-
Has there been any, talk about, instead of doing like this flat fee, like more of a percentage to sort of address those questions of, it's a lot, it's a big jump at one time. So instead of saying the 330, say not more than 10%, or, I mean, I don't want to, I think that Adam brings up a good point of like stifling
Right.
development, especially if it, basically, I mean, it kind of targets like certain types of developments, I mean, over others, but I'm just asking if anybody,
And that hasn't been part of the discussion in the past. What we had agreed to with the school district and park district in 2018 was to just make sure we're updating the appraisal on a regular
Right.
basis and using current numbers, whether that goes up or whether that goes down.
Yeah, and when they're here for appeal cases, for new subdivisions, they're here
yeah.
arguing against it. So, they're saying basically our costs are this is what we've got, so they're they're still advocating that, you know, we need the full fee.
Right.
So they're advocating their position.
Sure.
So, I mean, again, we do have Rebecca, we do have a case-by-case basis on new development that comes in where if we think it's warranted, depending on what's going on, we can potentially waiver that, and council can go along with that recommendation if they choose to. So we just still have some flexibility, but it is, that part of it too, is that Geneva's just, if there's, you know, running out of developable land, so it's
yeah.
kind of, that's probably driving some of the price as well, because there's just only so many opportunities now left.
Sure.
And so we're in a good situation on that, in that regard, because people still want to come here. Any other questions, comments? Yes.
No, I was just going to say that I think, you know, there is an opportunity for any developer to revisit it with the city at any time. So there's an opportunity if something isn't equitable, that it can be addressed. So you know, from my perspective, I think that, you know, that supports it.
Yeah, we're going with the market, so that's what the market says it is, so. All right, without any further additional comments, we'll open it up for public comment. There is no one here in City Hall to comment on this item, so it would only be people virtual, online, that are attending the meeting. If you wish to speak on this matter, please use the raise hand function and you will be recognized.
We don't have anybody online.
Apparently, we have no one online, so no one's watching us this evening. They're all watching the Sox game.
That's right.
Okay, well, I'll ask one more time to make sure. If anyone's online who wishes to speak on this matter, please use your raised hand function on the application and you will be recognized so that you can speak on this matter.
No attendees.
No? All right.
Okay.
All right, we don't have any public comment this evening.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Madaskil, second.
Moved and seconded to close the public hearing. Joyce, please call the roll.
Evans,
She's not here.
is she here?
She's not here.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I thought I heard her voice earlier. Okay. Holloman,
Holloman, aye.
Madaskil,
Madaskil, aye.
Mead,
Mead, aye.
Slivka,
Slivka, aye.
Moran,
Moran, aye.
and Chairman Stocking.
Stocking eye.
That passes.
You?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to amend Chapter 4, Public Open Spaces, Section 12-4-5-5, criteria for requiring cash contributions in lieu of land related to the cash fair market value per acre of land, specifically to amend Section A, fair market value, by increasing the cash fair market value from $275,000 per acre to $330,000 per acre, subject to the findings of fact contained in the staff report.
Slivka, second.
Moved and seconded. Celeste, please call the roll.
Okay. Holloman,
Holloman, aye.
Madaskil,
Madaskil, aye.
Mead,
Mead, aye.
Slivka,
Slivka, aye.
Moran,
Moran, aye.
and Chairman Stocking.
Stocking eye.
That passes.
All right, thank you, Celeste. Okay, so there is another item on our agenda is for public comment, but I don't think anybody's online, so we're not going to get anybody on that. So, David, anything on other business?
Just a few updates. The Malone Funeral Home that the commission considered in late July was approved by the city council. So that project will be moving forward. We do expect to have, well, we will have a meeting in 2 weeks on the 26th. We'll have 2 items on that agenda, variation and a zoning map amendment. And then we do expect to have a meeting on the 9th as well. and we have several applications in, so I think we'll be in for regular meetings this fall.
Busy.
Yes,
Good.
very.
Yeah.
And that's just the applications that are in. We've got a number of
There are things going on.
inquiries too, so it's
Good.
good.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have MEMS, so I don't know what to do.
Move to adjourn?
Thank you, John.